Hey guys, and welcome to Vlogmas day 15. I decided to film a video for you guys about commuting as a flight attendant because I received so many messages about commuting, like how I do it. I mean, there are different ways of commuting as a flight attendant, and I'm just gonna talk about those, like how I commute and why it is a commute and why I keep up with it, why I don't just move to base, all of that, and I'm just gonna go into detail right now. So there are different ways of commuting as a flight attendant. Many flight attendants don't live right where they're working at. So if you're based out of, let's say, Munich, many people will live somewhere else around Europe. Maybe in Germany, maybe like in another country like Austria, like I am living at the moment. And it's not just around here in Europe, it's like this phenomena that's going on all around the world. So I know people who would be like based out of, let's say, New York, but they live somewhere in, let's say, North Carolina, something like that. So that happens all the time, and you're probably really confused, like how would that work and how can you do that? It's so far away. And no, I'm just mentioning this right now, we're not getting private jets from work that actually shuttle us to work. It's not the way it works. It would be nice, but it's not. So there are different ways how you can commute. So one of the ways commuting works is that you're just going to book a flight ticket and then you get on that flight and you fly directly to your work base. And that might work if you live further away from work. For me, it's not that far. I'm gonna go into detail in a bit. And a lot of people do that. You wouldn't believe how many people are. We call them shuttlers because they shuttle to work. And I feel like usually within a crew about a third of the people are doing that. So a lot of the people are. And this is a really cool job being a flight attendant because you have several trips a month, and if you're off the rest of the month, you can just live somewhere else, maybe in a city where your family lives, or maybe in a city that's way cheaper than your base from work. And then there are other options as well. You could commute to work using the train. I don't see commuting as a thing if you only are on a train for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's not commuting to me. Commuting to me would be something where you're at least like an hour and 30 minutes or something away from your workplace. That's commuting to me. I mean, if you have to go to a workplace every single day, obviously commuting is something different, because for me, I usually have to go to work about 4 times per month. I know that sounds crazy, but I do a lot of long haul flights, so I'll be gone for several days. Like right now, I'm in Hong Kong. Hi, hotel room. That's Hong Kong. It's a nice hotel room, and I like the hotel. My view is amazing. I'm just looking down at the harbor. I'm looking at Hong Kong Island. I'm looking over Kowloon City. So yeah, I've got it pretty good right now, even though the weather is crap, but yeah. But yeah, commuting is different for a flight attendant if you only have a couple of trips a month. And that's why I feel like it's so much easier for a lot of people to just become flight attendants and still have their life in their hometown with their husbands, their families, their boyfriends, or just by themselves. That's something that you can do too, like I'm doing. And yeah, it's very real in the flight attendant world that people are just commuting and that people live far away. Okay. So what you can do is you can also like use a train, you can use a bus. There are like buses that are like long distance buses. I know people who've been on buses for like 4 or 5 hours in order to get to work. And yeah, they like doing that, that's fine. So for me, it's like this. I drive to work. It usually takes me about 2 hours. The longest it has ever taken me was 5 hours. Yeah, Easter traffic and rush hour combined. The worst. I was going home from work though, so it wasn't bad. I wasn't late or anything. But yeah, usually it takes me 2 hours, and I have several roads that I can take in order to get to the airport. So whenever there is an accident on one road or something, there's still another road that I can take. Also with snow, if there's a bunch of snow on like that one road, I'll just use the Autobahn, and usually they're pretty good with like clearing the Autobahn because so many people use it. So I can just use the Autobahn, and obviously there'll be more traffic, but I'll still make it there in time because I leave early for work every single time. So when it takes me 2 hours to get to work, I leave my house 4 hours before work. That gives me like 2 hours of time I can spend at our flight preparation center, where I can eat something, where I can do my flight preparations. And if there's a lot of traffic, then I'll still make it to work on time. And for me, the car is the most convenient way. I could take the train. It would be more expensive because train tickets are not that cheap over here. I don't really go to work that often. I do go to work, yeah, but I choose like those super long trips, like a 6-day trip to Hong Kong or stuff like that. So yeah. For me, it will also take way longer to take the train because I live north of Salzburg. It's still within Salzburg, but not like inside of the city center. And I would have to go down south to the city center, and then the train would go back up north to go to Germany. So it would take me about 3 hours to get to work if I use the train, and I'm about a 10-minute walk away from the bus stop that takes me, like from the bus stop off the bus that takes me to the train station. So altogether it wouldn't make sense for me to take the train. And there are no flights, because I have been asked before why I don't just fly to work. There are no flights between Salzburg and Munich because it's just too close. It would probably be like 15 minutes on a plane, and it wouldn't make sense for them because there are trains going every hour and stuff like that. So at least one train every hour. So the connection is really not that bad. And for me, like flying, it just wouldn't make sense either because you have to be at the airport like at least 1.5 or 2 hours depending on where you're going before a trip, and if it takes me 2 hours to drive to the airport, it would just make no sense. So that's my story. I drive to work. A lot of people drive to work, but as flight attendants you need to be able to sleep before your flight back if you're driving, at least in my opinion, because I'm not gonna sit in a car if I'm tired. So obviously we do get tired, and on the way to, like, let's say Hong Kong or something, I don't really mind if I'm driving to the airport because I'll be awake, and then I might get tired towards the end of the flight, and that's fine because I don't have to drive afterwards. But on the way back, I'm really particular about my sleeping schedule because I mainly do long haul flights, and the flights are long. Like the flight from Hong Kong back to Munich is probably going to be around 12 hours long. So what I do is I sleep right before departure for at least 2 or 3 hours, and then on the plane I usually have a break of, like, on a Hong Kong flight, probably like close to 3 hours. So that gets me 5 or 6 hours of sleep, which is fine for me because then I'll be awake for driving. And if I feel tired, I'm just gonna go to one of our sleeping rooms. We do have sleeping rooms where we can go after a flight for up to 3 hours. So I'm just gonna go there, I'm gonna sleep there, and then I'll be fine to drive. So I don't take any risks. I know a lot of you think that I'm crazy for driving after a long haul flight, but I sleep pretty well during layovers because I have come up with some stuff that works so that I don't really get jet lags that much. If you're interested, I do have a video on that. I'll link it up in the right hand corner. It will just pop up right now, and you guys will see my how to prevent jet lag video. So for me that works quite well. I know not everyone is able to sleep well during a layover. Not everyone is able to drive well after they have been on a long haul flight. For me, I'm very concentrated whenever I sit in a car, so it works well. And going to work 4 times a month and driving 2 hours each way really is not that bad, is it? Because if you're commuting to your regular work every day and you're going for like an hour one way, that comes out to like 2 hours per day spent in a car, which is like way more time spent in a car than I spend in a month. And I feel like it's really okay. Also with gas prices, I live about 150 kilometers away from work. That's roughly 100 miles away from work, so it's not too bad. And I don't spend that much money on gas a month. I usually spend about maybe 100 euros per month on gas. That's about $110, which for me is fine, because if I would have to take the train, it would be 25 euros one way, and that's like a discounted rate. So it would be so much more expensive to take the train for me, and it wouldn't make sense. Now, the thing that I think is really popular too is to commute to work by flying. So a lot of people live out of state, out of country, and they just hop on a plane. We do get staff discounts when we are flying as flight attendants if we book a standby ticket, but that also means that you won't know if you're gonna make it onto that plane for sure. For me, I could never do that. Like, my nerves, no, it wouldn't work. And I admire everyone who does this, everyone who really like shuttles and really takes a flight to work. And I know a lot of people who are very chill about it. They're like, oh, I'll get on a plane, it'll be fine, I'll just leave 1 or 2 planes just in case something happens. But let's say they're shuttling from Berlin to Munich. If they have to be in Munich at our base at, let's say, 3 p.m, they'll just take the flight at 11 a.m. and then they'll usually make it to Munich by noon. But in case something happens, there's going to be another flight at 12 noon or at 1 p.m. and they're still going to make it. So it sounds very easy in theory. Still, like, my nerves, I wouldn't be able to do it, because with driving I can always check on traffic, I can listen to like the traffic updates on the radio, I can check Google Maps, I can check online on like pages of like road assistance pages, like I can check there and I know how long it usually takes me. And I know that I can do something to go there. But if you're on a plane and you can't even get onto that plane because every single flight is full and you only get a seat if you're booking a standby ticket when there is a free seat, an open seat, then for me it would be too difficult. But there are a lot of people who do it that way, and a lot of people have told me that they have never once been left at the airport right there. They always got onto a plane. I think it depends where you're shuttling from, where you're commuting from, because if you're commuting from a city where there are not like that many flights every day going to your base, it might be very difficult if those flights are full. And also if you're going to cities that have like a lot of flights going to your base on that day, it might still be really difficult if it's like one of the most highly frequented routes out there. And I feel like it can work really well because you can basically have your life somewhere else. Let's say you have your life in, let's say, California, and you are flying out of Dallas. You're just gonna hop on a plane, you go there, and with staff discount, usually, I think in the US you can fly for free as a flight attendant if you work for a US based airline. In Europe it doesn't work that way. We still have to pay a small amount of the ticket price, and we have to pay the airport fees and taxes and all of that. And let me just tell you, commuting over here is not that cheap. So that's also something, like taking my car, driving to Munich is so much cheaper than what it would come out to if I was commuting from another city in Austria. And that's why I live in Salzburg. I love it there, I like living there. It's not that far away from my family. It's not that far away from work. For me, it works well. I know a lot of people would probably be like, oh, that would never work for me. And that's fine, that's fine. Like, everyone's different, every single person is different. What works for me might not work for you, and the other way around. Like I said, for me, like, commuting by plane wouldn't work at all. Like, I can't be late. I'm one of those people, if you tell me to be there at 12 noon, I'll be there at 11:45. I won't ring your doorbell at 11:45, but what I might do is I'll just like walk around the block until it's 12 sharp, and then I'll ring the doorbell right on the spot. So that's me. I'm like that. I hate it when people are late. Like, if people tell me to be there at a certain time, I'm always there early, and then if they are late and they end up being like 15 minutes late, I get really annoyed. And I feel like that's something also, like punctuality as a flight attendant, that's something that you have to sort of be used to, because I can't be late for work. Just like the thought of missing a flight and not making it to work, and that they'll need standby or something, it will like make me go nuts. Honestly, like, I couldn't deal with that pressure. But like I said, some people are really chill about it, and if that's what works for you. I know a lot of people who do this, who like commuting by plane, and like I said, it's pretty easy, and usually we can also fly with other airlines. Every airline has cooperations with other airlines that we can use at a reduced rate or for free. Usually, like I said, in Europe it's a reduced rate, but I also know in the US it's sometimes free, so like I mentioned, and that's how commuting works. And there are some really popular commuter trips. For instance, the Hong Kong trip is really popular because, I'm just mentioning this because I'm in Hong Kong right now. It's really popular because on the first day, we have to be at base at like 8:45 p.m. That's pretty late, right? So there are so many flights before that commuters can take, or even if you're driving, you can still sleep in. And then on the last day, we arrive at base at like 5:50 a.m. So we get to base early in the morning, which means that there are tons of flights that people can take home. And also, if they're driving back home, they'll be at home like pretty much in the morning. That are like the most popular commuter trips. And also for short haul, we have early bird tours and we have late tours. Early bird tours are the ones that start really early in the morning, like at 5 a.m. you'll have to be at the flight departure center or something. And that's the thing, if you're commuting by plane, you're not gonna make it there in time. You'll probably need a hotel room, or you'll need to sleep in a crew room or something. And those trips are not popular with commuters usually. I like them because in the middle of the night there's no traffic, so if you're driving a car to work for a few hours, it might be really good. I don't mind going to bed at like 5 p.m. and then getting up at 1 a.m. It's alright with me. And in the middle of the night, I don't have to leave 4 hours before my briefing time. I just have to leave like 3 hours before the briefing time because I know there's no traffic, you know. I mean, if the weather is bad, it's a different situation, but yeah. And there are also late tours that start in the afternoon. Like for short haul, they'll start at like, let's say 4 p.m, 5 p.m. But then on the last night, you'll get back at like 10, 11 p.m.-ish. And then there's no flight out of base, so you can't commute back home, which means that you'll have to get a hotel once again, and that can get pretty expensive. But there are also really popular trips which like start as a late tour and end as an early bird tour. So you'll start, let's say, at 5 p.m. on the first day, and then somewhere in between you'll have like 20 hours off or something, and then it just changes to like an early bird tour, and the tour ends at, let's say, 12 noon on the last day, and you'll still be able to make it back home. And those tours are really, really popular, and honestly, I like those tours too. I like them. They're good. They're really good, because I don't have to leave that early. I can sleep in on the first day, and I won't get home really, really late. I won't get into rush hour traffic on the last day. So those trips are really, really good, and I like to bid on those if I'm bidding on short haul flights. So I feel like that's everything I can tell you guys about commuting. Obviously, if you have additional questions, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them, even though it might take a while to answer those questions, because you guys have been amazing. You have commented so much on my Vlogmas this year. Like today I have already answered a lot of comments. I think I went like through probably like 80 comments or something, and there are still so many there. Like with flying and doing stuff on the layover and vlogging and editing, I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm really sorry about this, but I'll try to get back to every single one of you guys. You've been amazing. Thank you so much for all of the love I have received on this channel lately, and it's been a great year in terms of YouTube so far. Or at least, let's say, the second half of the year has been great, and I have really enjoyed this Vlogmas so far, and I'll be keeping it up. So I have another few videos planned for you guys during this Vlogmas. I'm honestly surprised. In the beginning I thought I couldn't like upload every single day and stuff, but so far it's worked out. And today's already December 15th. Yeah, today is December 15th. I'm just filming this, then editing it, uploading it, and then I have to go to sleep because I have to sleep before my return flight back to Munich. But anyways, I hope this video helped you guys understand a little bit more about commuting as flight attendants. And like I said, if you have any other questions that don't concern commuting, feel free to comment down in the comment section below as well, because I always love hearing from you guys. If you're new to my channel and you're not subscribed yet, please make sure to click on that subscribe button down below. Also make sure that you hit that bell icon below, because otherwise YouTube is not gonna inform you whenever I post a new Vlogmas video. And I would really hate for you guys to miss all of those videos because you seem to be enjoying them. So I hope you enjoyed this video as well, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye.